So, Bree, I know that you are a bariatric patient that we're going to be talking with today. I would really love to know, like, what made you decide to get bariatric surgery, and kind of just like tell me a little bit about that process for you.
Yes, so I am an elder millennial and I have always been overweight, like childhood. I always used to say I've only been a size 8 on the way up. And that's a struggle. That's a struggle in any generation. But in mine, it was low-rise jeans and midriffs showing. And well, back then, before the body positivity movement, like, hoodies and baggy jeans to cover up the fact that I was chubby, which, that doesn't cover it up. But I had tried every diet known to man. I could list them, but I'm not going to. And then I had heard about different weight loss surgeries, and people would always say, oh, it's cheating. And then one day I was reading something and somebody said, it's not cheating to get bariatric surgery. It's just a different tool to help you get where you want to be. And it was like this huge perspective shift for me. I started doing research and, I just felt like it was the right way to go for me. I had in February, it'll be 3 years since I had my Roux-en-Y bariatric surgery. And my highest weight was 294 pounds. I'm 5'5" for reference. And right now I'm sitting about 160. My lowest was 140. 145. My doctor was like, nope, that's too low. So I'm kind of like in that maintenance phase right now, which is not something I ever thought I would have happen. And the way that my life is better, and it's not because I think that overweight people can't have fulfilling lives, but for me, I was pre-diabetic. I was on metformin. I was on the road to high cholesterol, and I didn't see how I could change it. And I did a full pivot with bariatric surgery, and my levels are great. Even my thyroid, which is a genetic thing, like that went down. It's probably the best decision I've ever made in my life.
I mean, you should be 100% proud of yourself because that is amazing. It's funny that you talk about like the hoodies, wearing oversized items, because I saw somebody say like you can still do that, but you can still wear something oversized, but they're still gonna know that you're a larger bodied person. Like especially in the summer, like if you're wearing a hoodie in the summer, which so many people have done and still do, it's you still know, so you might as well be comfortable while you're in the clothes that you're wearing. So I totally feel that and understand that.
Yeah,
thank you so much for sharing. So moving on to our next question. So what are the healthy habits that you implemented before surgery as well as after surgery to kind of like cope with those two different lifestyles?
So it's really interesting because if you don't know anything about bariatric surgery, you think you can just get a referral from your doctor and then you go have it. But I actually was in a program for 6 months before they would even sign off for the surgery. And so I took educational classes on nutrition and how to set yourself up for success post-surgery, because you can gain it back. You can get back into your old habits. And I was lucky enough to have an excellent team to work with. I still message them. I see them annually. And I think for me, one of the biggest things that I started before and continue now is hydration, water, protein, making sure I get all the protein. Vitamins are huge, especially for the R&Y surgery, because there is so much potential for malabsorption with nutrition, and finding something that actually tastes good and doesn't trigger dumping syndrome, which we can talk about later if you want to, is so important. So I think a lot of it for me, also, I did concurrent therapy with the program, the nutrition program I did. It wasn't required, but I found that it helped me dive really hard into what, like, the base reasons for my overeating and how to set boundaries with myself. And man, probably, I don't know if without therapy I would have been as successful as I have been.
Did you find that you were using food as like a coping mechanism? So like if you were happy, you would use food. If you were sad, you would use food as, just a way to celebrate or also like comfort yourself?
Yes, yeah. And my family is huge in anytime there's a success. Oh, well, let's go out to dinner. Or, you're having a sad brain day, like, let's go get some ice cream. I mean, food was used as any type of, like, essentially emotional regulation, and trying to untie all of that from the actual emotions was a lot of work, and it was necessary work. And I'm so thankful that I did it. And there's still times when I'm like, I could really use a cookie. It's been a stressful day.
Yeah.
So guess what? I have a cookie and I don't feel bad unless I get dumping syndrome, in which case, yeah, well, okay, I shouldn't have done that.
Did you figure out or did you replace, food with something else for a coping mechanism? Or was it like similar to what those boundaries that you set? You're like, I don't need to always be like coping with something when things get hard or, when you're feeling a certain way.
So I thank you for asking that question. One of the biggest things we talked about in that class I had to take before surgery was transference. What so many patients use food as a coping mechanism, and then when they can't do it anymore, they're physically unable to put anything in their stomach. I mean, I didn't have solid food, I think, for 2.5 months after surgery. So people find different things to fill that gap. A lot of the times it's gambling, it's even drinking, which drinking is a whole nother experience when you have a stomach the size of this. And I was very lucky because, once again, I credit therapy with this. Doing that work, I didn't really have any transference. I was able to, just start. I think my transference for me, if I had to name it, would probably be prioritizing myself and my wants and needs. And that in of itself has been work past the surgery. Like, that's still an ongoing process, because as a bigger person in life, you shrink yourself. You are like, oh, if I don't have a big personality, if I don't take up space, they won't make fun of me being fat. And so for me, my transference has actually been very productive in the fact that I have been working on me and making sure that I'm happy and setting boundaries. And that's probably way more than you need for this interview, but it's very important work to do. And I don't think I could have done it without the therapy.
Yeah. No, I think it's really hard to be true to yourself when you feel uncomfortable all the time. So when you don't want to be an outcast for, X, Y, and Z, it makes it hard to just live who you truly are. This is kind of like a side note, but did you always have colored hair?
So I actually didn't dye my hair pink until COVID, because my job transitioned to work from home. And I was like, I'm not going to be on campus. I work for a school district. I'm not going to be on campus. Might as well. And I just did it one day. And it was pre-surgery. I've had pink and blue and pink and purple. But I do credit that choice a lot with the fact that if I was brave enough to do that, what else can I do?
Yeah.
And every time I think about going back to my normal brown, I'm just like, oh, but I love the pink so
It fits you. Truthfully, it fits you. So I just wanted to ask because I didn't know if that was like a new you decision or if that was like,
I think it was
a
a part
prior.
of a catalyst in the choice of, that start of, well, if I could do that, if I could be in this larger body and have this fun and funky hair, what's stopping me from doing other things?
Yeah.
And it's it brings me great joy, and so I keep
Yeah.
it.
How could it not,
Yeah.
honestly? Okay, well, awesome. Thank you. I was like getting emotional for part of that. I
Yeah.
feel like it's it was a wonderful answer. You may have already covered some of this in our, previous questions and discussions, but, is there something specific or a few things that you learned about yourself throughout this bariatric journey or, after surgery that like have really stuck with you and, make you found yourself better?
Yeah, I would say that the work I have been doing is to actually love my body. And there was a TV show, a British TV show, and I won't name it, but if you want to know later, I'll tell you. There was a scene, there was a larger teenage girl, and she was hefty, and she had a daydream where she walked up a set of stairs and was able to unzip her fat and walk out and have this beautiful body. And I just remember thinking, that'll never be me. And, it's dealing with that internalized, well, if I can just disconnect from this body, if I, the person I am inside is amazing, and this body, and I think even though I'm smaller now, bariatric surgery, losing over 150 pounds comes with loose skin. I mean, it's not like you walk away and you can wear a bikini. Well, you can if you want to. If you feel comfortable in wearing a bikini, rock it, But I'm still lumpy. I still have loose skin. And I think that the biggest journey I've taken is to try to connect with my own body. And because before it was always a hindrance. And now, even with those things that I wish would change and someday hopefully can afford plastic surgery, like, this body is the one I have. And to like embrace it and not hate it, to know that the person inside of me and the vessel that's carrying it is all worthy of love, even from myself. So,
Yeah, that is really beautiful.
and I also have a tattoo that's a heart, and the banner that usually says mom, it says myself, because I was like, you know what? I have spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of work, and I finally love myself more than I ever have before. And so I got that to like commemorate the fact that
Yeah.
done. So,
And also I feel like that's like a reminder. Like if you're like getting down on yourself for like your looks or whatever, you can just be like, no, I'm this person that loves myself. Yeah.
yes,
That's
exactly.
awesome. So what has been your hardest adjustment after weight loss surgery?
Yeah. So, I mean, a couple things come to mind right away is prioritizing protein and water and vitamins, and really understanding that even though sometimes it's very irritating every day to make sure to hit those goals, that current Bree doing this work is helping future Bree and extending my life. And that's huge because I am not super great at like daily schedules other than, work. So making sure that I prioritize that. And I think one of the other adjustments that has been huge for me is being physical in a space. And we've kind of touched on this, but not having to research the size of a chair in a theater before I go, to recognize the freedom that having a smaller body gives me, and to never take that for granted, and to give myself the grace that I need to mourn the fact that I had to live so much of my life with those worries. And my appreciation of that body freedom to be places is something that keeps me motivated and on track, and celebrate the amazing feeling that I have just being able to walk into a room and not worry about if I need a booth or a table. And if I sit in a chair, is it going to creak or make a weird noise? Or even potentially break. I mean, those are all things that weigh you down mentally when you're a heavier person. And to not have that now is something that still is shocking, even though I've lost this much weight and maintained for over a year at this point. So I would say that's probably an ongoing adjustment for me.
Yeah, I don't think, you know, people realize how the world is not made for people with all sorts of different physical restrictions. Like, even if, you know, you're just not able-bodied in multiple different ways.
Exactly.
So I totally hear you on, like, you're not having to worry about, if I get on an airplane, am I going to need to ask for an extender?
Yep.
Yeah. And, you know, because then it's also like, okay, other people around you are going to hear this, then you got to feel embarrassed, which, not saying you have to, but like,
No,
it
yeah.
definitely can be embarrassing. So I think it's great that you're now able to revisit all those things and find joy in those things.
Leave the little things.
Yes. So after your bariatric surgery, have you had any really memorable, like, non-scale victories, or like a top moment that really resonates with you in that space?
Oh gosh, I'm so many, but the seatbelt extender on an airplane was huge for me. Oh my gosh. There was always embarrassment asking. And so I found like a quiet way to do it. And the staff would always be very like respectful, but you know, that being able to sit down and clip it and not have to, and even have to cinch it a little bit. I remember taking a picture and sending it to my family group chat. Another one that was huge for me is to not have to shop in the plus size section, to actually be able to know, like, if I did travel and for some reason all my luggage was lost, I didn't have to go to a specialty store to find clothes. And that is freeing in of itself, to be able to walk into any mall and know that there's something that I will be able to fit in. Also, in the line with travel, like, I take up less luggage space. I can fit more. There's less fabric, and so I can go and travel for a couple days and not have to take a big suitcase. And there's that is also a reduction in cost because I don't have to check a bag anymore. It's those kinds of things that you don't really think about if you've always been a smaller person, but just the freedom. And honestly, it's less expensive to be smaller. I mean, if you shop at a specialty plus size store, a t-shirt's going to be $50-$60 as opposed to going to a department store and getting a t-shirt for $10. So there's more than just a physical cost. There is an actual expense to being a heavier person.
That's just like a great point, because I didn't even think about the luggage, because I always overpack.
Yeah.
So that
Fair.
I don't really know if it would save me there, but like, that is a great point with the luggage. You're just like, oh, I can just throw in a couple of things and be on my way. If you don't overpack, that is.
Yeah. I mean, there's always that struggle.
Yeah, right. Do you currently, or when you were just starting out on your health journey, did you have like a go-to recipe that was really helpful for you to kind of like stay on track and meet your goals?
Yeah, so I am not a great I'm not great in the kitchen. I'm working on it, but for me, I also don't mind having the same thing all the time. So I would make chili because it's very high in protein and not super high in carbs. And it's very easy to warm up if you've had it in the fridge. So I would frequently have chili. Also, it sounds weird, but spaghetti sauce with like a ground beef and just have a big thing of that and then warm it up when I was hungry, which actually didn't happen. I still don't get hungry very often, but I also have to work on the fact that I have to have protein and that I have to have
Mhm.
water and vitamins. And so having that convenience of just a big batch of something made up and I can just heat it up was huge for me. And I still to this day do that on a regular basis. It's weird because I don't really care about food anymore. And as something that used to be constantly in my mind, it's very much like, sure, whatever, you know.
Did you just eat the pasta sauce and meat on its own? You didn't use like any zoodles or anything? Just okay.
Yeah, so I don't like zucchinis or cucumbers. And I did try there some spaghettis made out of hearts of palm. And
Oh yeah.
those were okay, but honestly, like my want of noodles and good noodles outweighed the kind of help from the other fake noodles. And so for me, it was just, I enjoyed it more if it was just the sauce.
Do you put beans in your chili?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I know that's like a debate.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good protein source and it also adds more to the texture.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's good for like fiber. There's a lot of
Yeah.
benefits to beans. So I just wanted to ask.
Yeah.
So I know that you've been taking our calcium soft chews. How have you been liking it?
Sure, yeah. First of all, they're chocolate and peanut butter. That's so exciting. When I first started this journey, there were just like berry options, right?
Mhm.
Or caramel, which, you know, that's good, but I am a huge chocolate and peanut butter fan. So when I saw them, I was like, whoa, I have to have it. And they're great. I mean, I love the fact that the nutrition information is on the front. It's easy to see and great packaging. It was super fast delivery too, by the way. I have a really like a texture thing for
Mhm.
I'm very particular about, you know, things just don't feel right. And I have to say that the texture on these great. I don't have any issue. But I think the thing for me because of bariatric surgery is I have to walk that line of dumping syndrome, which if you don't know is sometimes after bariatric surgery, there are things that just don't want to be in your tummy. And mine, oddly, has been ground beef patties. So I can't have hamburgers. I can have ground beef and other things, but just a plain patty, nope. And so when I started taking these, I was like, well, you never know with sweets. Like if you have a chocolate peanut butter, is that going to cause a reaction? And no, it's been great. They're super easy and I just keep them near me and I know what time of day I need to take calcium because you can't have it next to iron and there's a whole like
Yes.
list of things that you have to make sure so you can get the true absorption of the work that you're doing. Otherwise, you're just eating candy at that point. So it's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed them. The flavor's good. The texture, like I said, is good and super easy to use.
That is great to hear. I love that it's not causing you any trouble on your tummy because
Yeah,
that is a huge issue within, the bariatric community that,
absolutely.
it can cause any sort of discomfort. And that's really something that we don't want. So
No,
thank you so much for sharing.
yeah.